So this is gonna be a little bit of a rambly video, to be honest, because I woke up having the same kind of nightmare over and over again, and this is my nightmare. And this is the problem that people don't sort of seem to fully understand about mental health, is it affects you directly rather than it necessarily being an external. It can end up being external. For example, and I dislike, and I'm going to have a cigarette because I don't care. Like, I hate to use examples, I don't actually, examples of like the Charlottesville shooting. And, well, this is Remembrance Sunday. Isolation is one of the hardest things to cope with for a human being. So, if you happen to be a human being, you're not exempt from that either. Every single person on this planet, if you're a human being, then isolation is the worst punishment that you could give to a human being, because we're social creatures. So social ostracization and social isolation will drive anybody insane. And what we seem to be doing is, instead of tackling the root cause of why people like the person in Charlottesville does it, we create those monsters so that we can kind of like virtue signal, hey, look, this person's so bad, but I am so pious and virtuous and good. And it's toxic masculinity, and it's a man's problem, or it's women's problem, and there's a lot to delve into on both sides, but the problem is it's continuously blaming an external for how you're reacting internally. And so, with the Charlottesville shooting, it was an isolationist, and he had obviously reached a point in his life where he had coped on his own with enough of the isolation that society had decided was a suitable way to treat someone. And he decided to, take revenge and make other people suffer for a change. And he did that. And I can understand that. Can I understand the social ostracization? We've been doing ostracization. This is the way human beings interact. We have always created circles of power, and then we have always isolated people outside of those circles of power, and we've used them. Humiliation, domination, and all of those things are the things that cause us to become mentally incapable of being able to carry on. And I woke up this morning with this nice little perfect little nightmare in my head, because obviously it would be we are our own worst enemies, so we know how to attack each other properly, don't we? So I think about there being gods or aliens, and I saw a film once called The Signal. And if you haven't seen this film, The Signal, it's a great film, and I don't want to spoil anything for you if you haven't seen it. And so this is going to sort of be like a mini review of The Signal. It's not, but why not? So spoilers ahead from now, so just, bear in mind from here on there's going to be spoilers for that film. So in The Signal, they are this elite group of hackers from Harvard, and they're playing hacking games with this other cyber hacker, and they don't know who he is. And I'm going to smoke. They don't know who he is, but they do know that this signal is coming from this. They've tracked it to this particular part of the location in the country. So they decide they're going to go on a road trip, and they're going to take a detour to see if they can find the source of this signal. And they do. They find the source of the signal, and there's a clear abduction. They see their friend being lifted into the sky, and the next second they wake up in hospital. And the rest of the film is them trying to escape this hospital, and then they realise they're in Area 51, and they realise, fuck, we're in Area 51, fuck. And they're not in Area 51. They manage to escape. They get given these kinds of powers as well. Like the aliens have like augmented their bodies. Like this one guy has got augmented arms, and this other guy's got augmented legs. He can punch really hard, and this guy can run really fast. And the girl, she has an implant in her head. And they realise they're in Area 51, and it's not Area 51. It's actually a habitat. And if you've ever read Superman comics like Brainiac or something like that, or if you've read Rick and Morty or like watched Rick and Morty, it's like those aliens that keep human specimens. And he realises he's actually on a spaceship, and that the aliens have actually created this habitat for them, and it's all been a test to see if they can actually escape their surroundings, and they can actually break through this barrier. And he kind of stands at the edge of this, and it's Area 51. The actual habitat is called something A51 or something like that, and it joins an even bigger mothership that's even more vast and stuff like that. And he realises it was such a challenge to even get out of that little prison. And then he sees this scope of what he's up against, and he just sort of stands there in front of this vast alien civilization on this little prison ship that he's on, and he's just sort of like, shit. What are you going to do? He's got the super arms, I think, or something like that. Or maybe, no, he's got running legs. He's got the running legs because he runs. That's how he breaks free. He runs so fast. He manages to escape the police, and he's going to break the story to the world and stuff like that. But as soon as he smashes through the barrier, like, he kind of like comes into the reality of like, shit, like I'm in the Matrix kind of thing. I'm in this Matrix, I'm in this holographic universe, I'm in this fucking reality that's completely fake, and it's all been fabricated by this higher intelligence. And this higher intelligence has like decided to like keep us prisoner. Now, brilliant part is Lawrence Fishburne plays a part in that film, and he sort of looks, he sort of smiles and sort of waves, and then he turns his head, and then all of his head is just like this kind of tendrils of like quantum, like electronic kind of alien technology, and he sort of like turns back and it's just a face mask, and it's so good. It's such a good film, and if you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. And it so these are just elaborate concepts human mind comes up with. We're very intelligent creatures, very vast with our ability, but prison is one of these things. Isolation is one of these things, and we've been doing this to each other for years, where social ostracization and social isolation are ways that we control our population, and it's always been that way. And sort of my kind of self-imposed prison, this self-imposed prison that I sort of spend all day in, and I don't leave, I don't go out, I don't see a reason to, because outside I'm socially ostracized and socially isolated, and the reasons are varied, but in relation to one rule for them, another for everyone else. Remember, like, in this world, it doesn't matter what kind of a person you are. It matters what kind of people you know. So you could be like the scum of the earth as far as like morally virtuous like signaling can go. Let's use an example and say you could be Jimmy Savile, and you could get away with all of this shit your whole life until death, and then get away with it, you know. Or you could be Myra Hindley or any serial killer, you know, and you could just go out and kill. But the thing is, if you've got people who are willing to defend you and who are willing to kind of like accept that part of your life and be part of your life, they'll actually enable you to do the things that you do, and they'll enable you to commit the crimes that you commit. And then at the end of the day, they'll be like, oh, it's okay, it's just you. That's just kind of who you are. And that's the kind of society we live in, where we virtue signal and we build a wicker man. We build a little wicker man every year, and we offer a human sacrifice, and we burn them alive, and we kind of blame all the things that are wrong with us on them. We virtue signal, and then we kind of go, and now we've gotten rid of the bad things in our life. We have to do it every year, because every year we transfer our own demons onto someone else in the hopes that we might get rid of them, that we might be able to virtue signal that we're pious people. And in fact, that's not the truth, because we're human beings, and human beings are like not this benevolent and loving, harmonious species. And the virtue signalling is when you realise that. It's self-realisation. And self-realisation is a hard thing to do, because it means looking in the mirror and actually seeing the truth of what you are, not what you perceive yourself to be. And that's the hardest thing. That's what a narcissist is incapable of being able to do as well. In their mind, I put a video out the other day, and I didn't mark the video actually. So if you did watch that video, cool. If you didn't, that's fine too, because I realise I'm getting 0 views, because I know that YouTube has become a kind of clickbaity thing. And I was actually watching a Dr. Layman the other day, and I like Dr. Lehman, and he actually really laid it down. He's like, I'm not here for your YouTube drama. I don't care about your politics. I'm here for the argument, because I love to argue, and I love the debate, and I love the actual kind of like communication between two minds grappling with a complex subject. For example, Marxism, because I think he's got like a PhD in Marxist kind of theory and philosophy and stuff like that, and he's dedicated his life to reading these books, and he's such a funny person, such a funny character when he's laughing as well, because he's laughing at how absurd the culture has become in our society, where we won't go out and just read a book because it's not our only source of option. But the information isn't actually guarded that much anymore. Whereas it used to be guarded in libraries, it's not. It's all on the internet, and yet we still rely on these third-party opinions to form our own opinions. And that's what's really toxic. It's not a masculine thing or a feminine thing. It's a human thing, that we as human beings are incapable of being able to self-reflect. And it's the inability to be able to self-reflect that leads us to like not being able to actually face reality, because the reality we face as human beings is a very bleak one. Without our little control drama and our little Wicker Man principle, where we crucify someone and blame them for all sins to absolve ourselves of sins. Without that, we face the reality of our own demons and our own inner demon. And our inner demons, some people's inner demons are really, really horrible. Now, this is the thing. This is old concepts, like, you know, we realise that the demons are inside of us, not outside of us. When we were kids, we looked for monsters under the bed, but now we look for them in our head. And it's the demons in our head that are the things that cause us misery. And what we want to do is we want to be able to transfer the demons outside of our head. And what we do is we will take someone like anyone, and we will say, the demon in my head, you know, if the demon in your head is kind of gotten to the point where it's the one that always speaks, rather than you kind of questioning, being skeptical about not just your own thoughts, but the world around you as well, and what it is actually entailing, then you set yourself up for this kind of thing to happen, where we isolate, we control, and then we kind of like transfer all of our negative and hateful emotions onto someone else, and then we act out our virtue, that we are actually pious and good people, and that actually it's this person that's the problem. That's narcissism at its very core. We will blame other people for our own mistakes, and we will blame other people for our own demons, and we will blame other people for our own failings, but we will also say to ourselves, we're good people. Good people. The hardest reality to face is that we're not good people. We're not a good species. Okay? And that's an old thing. George Carlin said it, and it's glib and all of that, I know. But it's true. It's one of these things where we can create jewelry and little icons like this. You know, we can create lovely little things like this. You know, we can create images of death, and we can create beautiful art and make it seem so pretty and beautiful, right? Because we want beauty in our lives, but we're unwilling to see the shit. We're unwilling to deal with the shit, not just in our hearts, but in our heads, and like what we are. So if you like take away everything of a human being, you know, take off the mask, take off the makeup, you know, and actually be a real, genuine, authentic person, and look at yourself in the mirror, and all of a sudden you kind of realise, shit, I'm actually not a good person. Not because of the deeds and stuff. You could sit all day like a Buddha, and that was a principle that Buddha came to realise as well. It's why he was visited by one of the gods on appointment of his enlightenment, where his self-realisation was the thing that he took the long road. That was the thing. All the gods took an easy route. They just took their little power pills and went, to heaven I go. And Buddha, he went, I'm not going to do that. There's got to be a way for everyone, not just some, because otherwise that leaves some of these people trapped in their own heads, and that is the nightmare that I've faced. And when you have your demons in your own head, they're the ones that you have got to deal with every day. And so we want people in our lives that are going to enrich our lives. And so that's another reason why we virtue signal, because if we know our demons, our inner demons, are just this kind of evil things, and inside you're actually just a fucking monster, but you don't necessarily ascribe to that. Like, you want someone in your life who's going to create art. And Lehman said, Dr. Lehman, I'm going to quote Dr. Lehman again. He said, if your content is shit, it's worth criticising. Or basically words to that effect. And that's true. And that can be said for all artists and all creators. Just because you create something doesn't mean it's automatically good. And just because you create something, if it doesn't keep people's interests, doesn't mean it's necessarily worth anything either, and it's worth criticising. So, for example, why haven't I made any more Warhammer videos? Not because I didn't want to kind of like make more Warhammer videos, but you know, if I'd really kind of been interested in trying to get attention and stuff like this, I would have just carried on making like hashtag feminist, hashtag feminids, hashtag people are shit, virtue signal, virtue signal. Look how fucking amazing I am at critically analysing other people's flaws and mistakes. But as a creator, even though my creatings, my musings are limited, that leaves it open. So I don't do like jump cut here, like I say 2 words, I jump cut to another 2 words, jump cut to another 2 words, jump cut to another 2 words, because that's pointless. I just talk. I'm talking. Like, I know what I'm saying. I know myself. I know who I am. It's taken me a lifetime to actually become who I am, and there are parts of me I don't like. For example, just looking at myself in the mirror, the parts of me that I don't like right now, my acne. I don't like my acne. It's just not nice. I'm going to get tattoos to cover it up. But I want you to see like the parts of me that I don't like why I got this tattoo. Because you can't see the acne. Look. You just see a beautiful rose with leopard spots, not acne spots. So that's me. This is my canvas. This is my musings. are working not just on my internal self, but on my external self as well, to bring beauty into the world. There's so much ugliness in the world already, but we can be victims of that now. What a narcissist will do is say, you're not special, you're not different, I'm going to drag you down into this hell with me, into this shit with me. I'm not going to let you be beautiful because I'm not beautiful. Now, I'm not a religious person, but something has always stuck in my mind for my whole life. And was that I was walking down the road one day and this kid just grabbed me and put his arm on my shoulder and was like, let me pray for you. And I was drunk, I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we were on our way to a party, and we were with a group of people, but he put his hand on my shoulder, and it was very strange, because we were in a group of people, and he went, listen. And I was like, what? He was like, listen, the devil wants to destroy what is beautiful in the world. And he kind of just walked away. And I was like, walked on. But that stuck with me. And that is the truth. You see, because anytime a narcissist will see someone who challenges them, or their worldview, or their universal view, or their kind of like idea that they can create this kind of intellectual concept of like, you know, you are stuck in a holographic universe, you're in a prison, you're in an isolationist cube, and you're in an echo chamber. I am. You are. We all are. It's called being human. And it's not necessarily a good thing. It was a thing. It's just something. And what we do is, we are so intent on trying to be able to say, for example, like this ashtray is disgusting, isn't it? This is my filthy habit. I picked it up when I was picked it up when I was about 9 years old. I started smoking when I was 9, as is a case of a lot of like kids who are in my area. And you know, I started smoking weed because it was better than cigarettes. And tobacco is just death. It's just horrible shit. But this is how I know that there's no goodness in my life. Because I have cigarettes in this ashtray, not spliff butts. And that's the kind of like shit that I deal with every day. I can't go out and buy weed. But why can't you go out and buy weed? Because nobody will sell it to me. Nobody will buy it. Nobody I know will sell me weed. Even though it's good for me. Even though it relieves my tension in my neck, from my trapped nerve. It relieves the brain. It sends me into a nice meditative space where I can sit down and meditate. That is a good thing. And they deny you medicine and make you sick. So that's what I'm dealing with. They're making me sick. They're denying me medicine and making me sick. And it's a choice to stop smoking. It's a difficult one. I mean, I've tried to give up smoking so many times in my life, but it's one of these things where I will be talking and I'll just like get a little bit of a, you know, like I'll drink a cup of tea. This is a human condition. See, the human condition at its very core is to be doing this all the time. Because how we're built, we're built like these kinds of consistently, you know, human beings and how they interact are more like parasites than anything else. It's always been my dream to build a closed system, to prove that I could build a system that works symbiotically with the earth, not just separating my plastics into a bin, not just virtue signalling that I am a vegan, not just having an electric car. I mean a closed system that proves that an individual or a small group of individuals, can live in a closed system that lives in perfect harmony and balance with the earth, and essentially lives a symbiotic life, and instead of putting out shit like this into the universe, putting out good into the universe. So this is what content creators do. Content creators have like one aspect of this kind of visage where they're putting out good things, but they're also still shitting. Do you see what I mean? They're still kind of shitting, not just into the intellectual sphere, but into the reality. So the heart is in the right place, the mind is in the right place. Like, I want to create because I want to create more beauty in the world. Great. But by virtue of being human, I'm still creating all of this really toxic shit in the world. And it's not a masculinity thing, or it's not a femininity thing. It's a human being thing. Toxic humanity. Humanity is the human species is toxic. Humanity is our virtue of like what we would like to become. The ultimate idea for myself would be to create a closed system that again works very much along the lines of, I would base my technology more on biotechnology, like trees, for example. Trees are the most impressive organism on the planet. They're the lungs of the planet, and they take shit from the planet and then they purify it, and then they put out nothing but good. And you see, the thing is, if you are having to deal with this shit, you want to create a kind of system, a structure of roots that takes the shit, purifies it, and puts out nothing but good. And it's sad because you put nothing out but good, and then someone takes the good, turns it into shit, and then shits on it, and then you've got to take the shit and then turn it into good. So, but the idea of creating a closed system would be of creating nothing but good, and purifying it, and sort of, I suppose, still taking externals and purifying them, but not creating any waste at all. And it is possible, it is doable. We do have the technology. The problem is our technology, our systems that are in place are so broken and so damaged that we're in a communication where we will spend 30 hours, fucking 100 hours painting a picture of PewDiePie rather than doing anything valuable with our lives, because we're stuck in our own closed systems, like, that are broken. Since I'm never going to be in my head, I'm like, no, one day I'm going to achieve this. Fuck. That would have been horrible if my Nintendo Switch is broken. Spots. Turn spots into art. That's what I want to do. I want to turn something. Someone said something really. Oh, you can't polish a turd, and I was like, look in the mirror. We're all human. Like, some of us are just more naturally gifted to beauty than others, and I think obviously that's kind of like one of the things where, my narcissist is kind of like horrified that I'm not allowed to be beautiful or something like that, or other people's beauty is externalized from me, as if, for example, I can touch myself, I can touch the things around me, but you know, when it comes to other people's beauty, I'm not allowed to interact. It's for fear and ridicule and all of this stuff. Although I tell a lie, I shared a kiss with this girl the other night, but again, it was just a flirty sort of kiss, and but it was nice. It felt nice to sort of have an interaction with something soft and beautiful and lovely, where the women are. And when you've been kind of like stuck, and I do say stuck because I do feel stuck, trapped, if you'd like, trapped with men my whole life. One of the reasons why like being a woman for myself is like to sort of like feel like at the end of the day I have some beauty for myself, rather than sort of constantly being stuck in this kind of grisly bear pit of like men all the time. And you know, I do like men, but when you don't have any softness or any love in your life, it all of a sudden becomes very hard, very cold, very stark. And men's sexuality is very kind of like, you know, it's naturally designed for war. Is men's kind of like natural, the whole hair thing, not just an evolutionary thing to keep yourself warm, but like to keep other like men at bay, to sort of like, you know, keep other women encased and stuff like that. It's sort of basic nothing. My grand plan, my grand design is based on a tea stain that I found on a piece of paper. And basically, I'm just going to draw quickly. So it was going to be a combination of 2 or 3 things. So first of all, it was going to be based on the idea that you have the ground, the earth, okay? And then from then you have your habitat, and the habitat would be this. Now, I would automatically kind of think dome, but that's just kind of habitat. But like the next, I'm thinking flowers. That's my kind of inspiration, because I would have the kind of petals of the flower like this. Okay, so the petals of the flower, they would be like this, and they would all be solar panels. Then at the base, this would run into a deep core. So this would be running into a deep core of thermal electricity. So it would, basically you'd have to pick your plot of Earth particular, because you'd need to, you know, initially you'd need to drill down to get the geothermal energy. So from there you'd have the geothermal energy of like the heat energy, as well as the conductive energy, as well as the kind of like hot air energy, and like you'd have turbines and stuff like that. So the turbines would kind of be like here, you know, and then that would be the power generator kind of thing. So that would be the sort of the turbines, power generator, the geothermal energy. And again, that's just a kind of representation of geothermal energy. It's very, very complex. But essentially, once the groundwork would be done, the geothermal energy would be enough to power that particular habitat. Then the solar panels would be a secondary power supply. And then obviously you'd want to build it near a river, and the river, or a water source, and the water source again would be a tertiary power structure, So that's basically what I would build my closed system upon. It would be a tertiary power structure, and then the habitat in the middle would be like where you sort of live. So you'd be kind of like living in here. Like, yeah, I'm completely on my own and I'm isolated from the life because I have no love, whatever. But or maybe you'd have like a group orgy in there and it'd be great, right? The point is that I kind of based the idea of obviously a flower, because a flower is essentially does all of this. And I was just walking along the like one day, and I saw like a bee in the middle, and I just thought, oh yeah, if you were that bee, I mean, you're kind of pollinating and stuff like that, taking honey to the hive and stuff like that. But this flower is giving out goodness, it's giving out fragrances, it's giving out, and it's purifying the air as well. So that was the next step as well, because China invented these air purifiers, and so I would add these kinds of air purifiers. I just add them around the superstructure. So the superstructure, I would build the habitat to look specifically like a flower as well, and I'd build this specifically in so that it would actually take all its energy from the earth, from the water, from the air, because you've got the wind. Oh yeah, I forgot the wind turbine. So, oh yeah, that's the wind turbine. Oh, alright, clever. There we go. There you go. So then you've got 3 little wind turbines at the top. You've got your little boop, 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 boop. There you go. You've got your little water mill here. So you've got your geothermal. You've got your water. You've got a dike. Dike. That's a rude word, isn't it? Is it? But a dike. And a water wheel to create that, and you've got your windmills, and you've got your solar panels, and then you've got your air purifiers, and then boom, that is a closed system, and that will create enough energy, more than enough energy for one person. So I've been like working on this project my whole life, and I failed because people didn't want me to succeed. If I'd have succeeded, it would have meant going to industry, money, slavery would have kind of like become one of these kinds of points of mootness, because everybody could build, instead of like building essentially little shells, little eggs of like mini homes or mansions and stuff like that, but they're all basically hooked onto the grid, and they're all this, that and the other. Got my little beard growing through it as well. Oh gosh, what's going on with that? I never got around. I never managed to do it. And I walked into the city one day, and I just thought, we live in a structure. And every time someone tries to break out of the matrix of this structure, of this power structure, they try to destroy you, because you're another part of the reason why they have power. And if everybody broke away and everybody built their own closed system, and believe me, you could build this on a grand scale or on a small scale. You could build this on a mini home, because how much electricity do you really need? several solar panels would be enough. One windmill would be enough. You wouldn't even necessarily have to, if you would like wanted to be mobile, that would be enough. You know, enough solar panels and a windmill, enough just for one person. You wouldn't have to do the geothermal, you wouldn't have to do the water mill. But here's the thing, when I'm talking about a closed system, I don't mean building a city that then just sprawls out and just continues to sprawl out and continue to sprawl out and continue, and then just setting up another. Like, I mean a closed system whereby that is it. Like, one flower, one part of the field, you know, and then on the other side, another flower and another part of the field. You know, a field of flowers, but also specifically because of the way that I designed it, you know, it's all kind of. I was watching a video the other day about kind of concentric geometrical shapes and things like that, and but yeah, essentially, instead of having little sprawling cities that spread like this, and hive cities that build on top of each other and build on top of each other until the shit just goes to the bottom, but it doesn't go anywhere, it just builds up and up and up and up and up and up, and the shit gets higher, so you have to build another layer on the shit, and you have to build another layer on the shit, and then the shit raises again, so you have to build another layer on the shit, and the hives just get higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and there's a pyramid at the top of it, you know, and there's one person just kind of like desperately struggling to put more shit on, stop the stem of shit from like flowing up and up and up, and it's just like this kind of lifestyle. It's not conducive to anything. That's how parasites work. That's what parasites do. That's what cancers do. They destroy. And they continuously, they don't know how to product waste management. That's the problem. So what they do is they transfer all of their waste onto someone else or to something else to try and get them to do it. And oh, do you have a smoke?
Just one in my bedroom.
Tar. You know. Now the closed system would just be for my sanity. You know, we don't really think, like, human beings don't have common sense. I hear this a lot. Common sense. Human beings don't have common sense, and I learned that very on in life. And I actually learned that at a company that I worked for, where we did a common sense test. And it was just to sort of prove that no one in the room, despite having been given jobs, had no common sense whatsoever. And that's why you have to tell people to not do things. You have to tell people, don't do it. Like, when stacking crates, how tall are you going to stack the crates? And we had people going, you know, like, stacking a pallet of a pump truck of pallets, and they would like stack them 20 high. You're like, how tall are you? You're like, well, you know, I'm 6 foot, or, you know, I'm 5 foot, or whatever. You're like, so you stack the pallets up to here so you can see where you're going. You don't stack them past your fucking head, do you? And sort of like do that as you're going around the corners. That's why human beings don't have common sense. This is why we have to be taught how to drive. We have to be taught how to do things. And if the people that are teaching us are not teaching us properly, then we are regressing, we're not progressing. And this is the thing. What we're learning in the world stopped being of any fundamental value, and it started to be very dangerous in that we're not upkeeping any of the systems that we put in place. But also the systems that we've got in place are so broken that we can't just simply just replace them. And then we use the same template over and over again to actually create new systems of exactly the same, rather than other systems that are completely different, that work completely different. It sort of proves that, look, we don't need to go and burn a wicker man in the desert every year to get rid of our evil and demons. We can build a system. Little baby, what are you doing? You playing mountain goat again? Are you playing little mountain goat? Come in here. Come. No. Anyway, I had a lot of dreams growing up. One of them was transitioning, taking all of these acne and scars that I've got over my body and turning them into beautiful things, so that at the end of the day, when I look in the mirror, I can see beauty. Like why I did my eyebrows, because they look fucking on point, rather than the kind of bushy caterpillars I had before. And it's not about like trying to see like the beauty in the ugly. It's about like taking what is ugly and turning it beautiful, making it beautiful. But you can't, I say can't, you'll find it very difficult to make a person's thoughts beautiful if they don't have any. And that's mental health. Because if you don't have beautiful thoughts, if you don't have a beautiful mind, if you don't have like, if all you've got is shit in your head, where your heart is supposed to be, then all you're gonna have is shit in your life. And that's why narcissists, psychopaths, people in general want to tear other people down, because I would never get anybody to smoke a cigarette on purpose. But a narcissist, they'll fucking hold you down and they'll inject you with fucking heroin to get you on their level. Do you see what I mean? Like, oh, you're not a heroin addict. Oh, you're not a drug addict. Oh, you're not a pervert. Well, we're gonna make you into one. And then you're gonna have to be one of us as well. You're gonna have to be one of us, you see? Because then you can't escape. That's what human beings are like. They're so afraid of being alone. They're so desperately afraid of being on their own that they will grab anything and anyone and bring them down into their hell and tear them apart. And if you happen to be like one of these kind of beautiful people in the world, you know, you might find one day having acid thrown in your face just because you were beautiful, or having your business destroyed just because you were successful, or having your mind broken just because you were intelligent, and having your soul kind of ripped apart just because it manifests in a different way other than what theirs had. And the thing about it is you can't polish that turd. Like, the human being is a kind of, I always in my head I always think that what we are is we're just molecules put together on a quantum physical level. We're energy, but this flesh that we have, it's so tantalizing and it can be a source of so much great pleasure, right? And if they can take that pleasure away from you and turn it into shit, they'll do that too, because they don't have any pleasure for themselves, they don't have any love for themselves, and they don't have any excitement for themselves. And that's the kind of thing about it, of life. And if you've watched this video and you've actually listened to anything I've said, that's really cool. And comment, because I know I'm not getting any views, but I like my videos because I love myself. I have to. Maybe you saw my design for my kind of like closed system of an eco-friendly closed system that could sustain a small population. It'd be very simple to do with the right resources and the right backing. The problem is people can create like cities, like they created our concept of Project Lilypad, or whatever. And Project Lilypad was just this kind of like closed system of like 50,000 odd people all together in the same sort of space, floating on the ocean, kind of like if the world floods, this city will kind of float on the surface, and it would have a population of 50,000 people. And it was just beautiful. It was kind of looked like Project Lilypad. You could just Google Project Lilypad, but yeah, it's just this kind of like sort of on a surface level it just was that, but like underneath it's just like a dome, so all the living habitats were in here, and then on the outside you've got all of the solar panels and all that shit, and you can have one person ones, you can have 50,000 ones, but the problem has always been, hey, are you going to be in that group of 50,000? Probably not. So I always kind of wanted to build my own little lifeboat and see if I could escape, and I never managed to. And the amount of times I kind of knocked on the door, hey, do I get a seat on this kind of ark? And they're like, yes you do. No you don't. So it's kind of, hey, if I can't be part of the great society, I'll create a great society for myself. And then like they saw I was succeeding, so they kind of destroyed that, because obviously that would have been an affront to them. That would have been an affront to them to be able to say, well, we're the only ones that can do this. You're not allowed to do it as well. We're the only ones that are allowed to have a party. We're the only ones that are allowed to have fun. You're not allowed to have fun. Social ostracization and isolation is how hive minds, deal and focus and destroy. And it's sad. I woke up this morning feeling like that. I still haven't got enough money to get any tattoos. Still don't have enough money to transition properly. Look at my hair. This is how you can tell people hate you, is because when you go to the barbers, your hair ends up coming out like this instead of like beautiful. And they just kind of go, oh, there's not much I can do with it really. Instead of, if their mate walked in, they'd be like, we're going to make you look fantastic. And and it's the next fucking hipster look. So, how people treat you. How you treat yourself. I go to the barbers, hairdresser's saloon or whatever. And then, you say, oh, I want my hair at least to be red or something like that. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. It's, your hair's just so, there's nothing I can do. And then that's it. But, if you're Lady Gaga and you went, I want my hair to look like a cactus. And we're like, oh, absolutely, no problem. Cactus for a head. Because when people love you, anything is possible. That is the sad realization I woke up with this morning, of just having to look in the mirror again and realize that despite all of the love that I have for myself, this is the love that people have for me. Of just like none. And then I just got a text from a friend, actually. It was really nice. It's nice to get a message every now and then. Like, that means a lot. So it does mean a lot if you are watching this video, and if you are subscribed, and if you are watching and listening. I know that my content isn't very flashy. There's no graphics, there's no this and that, and intro, outro, and like jump cuts and graphics and all of this stuff. Okay, and like I said, like, I was a graphic designer at one point in my life back in 2000. That's a long time ago, back when fireworks and Dreamweaver was a thing. I used to be a web designer. I'm not a complete tool when it comes to computers. It's just, this isn't what I want to do. I don't want to create these kinds of flashy, new wave videos of just like consistently just bombarding the senses with visual information, trying to distract. It's the kind of what I call the 4chan principle, where being in 4chan for such a long time, after a while you got trapped into this kind of their own logic. And their own logic was pretty fuzzy, but it was clear after a while. And you had these stupid little posts like, look here, then look here, then look here, then look here, now look here, you look there, look at my doubles. And it was like, haha, oh my god, you're like psychic or something, right? You can do that, like flashy graphics here, catching your eye here, clickbait this, that and this. It's like a little bit of a tune, a hook here and a hook here to try and draw you in. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to just be as real as I possibly can, with myself and with other people. Like, this is who I am, this is what I am. I'm a human being. I have demons in my head. We all do. I just am not lying about it. I don't see the point. Because the demons in my head, they're the things that give me nightmares. And a lot of what a point is like, at some point during this kind of trauma bonding of reality, people are like, my demons are going to come out, and then they're going to destroy your demons, and then we're going to trauma bond, get married and have babies and continue the cycle ad infinitum. And all I did was just say, I don't want a part of that. Don't want to be a part of a broken system that's unwilling to change, incapable of being able to self-reflect on its own demons, and consistently blames this concept of there being a masculine left right problem, feminine women's the problem, this problem, it's his problem, it's Donald Trump's fault, it's that. If you have a brain, it's your fault. Okay? You can't blame other people for what is going on in your head. You have to deal with it. And there's no point in going out and raping and killing other people and kind of go, haha, now you're one of us. You're one of us. Because I've enforced my demon upon thee. And now you're upset and angry as well. And you want to go out and enforce your demon, and we're going to help you, and we're going to enforce our demons on everyone until everybody is all part of the same hive mind of fucking pyramidal fucking structure of I don't want it. I don't want to be a part of that. And the promise of this kind of like orgy. You know, there'll be an orgy though, there'll be an orgy. And it's like, there should be orgies anyway. You shouldn't have to fucking beg to have sex. You shouldn't have to bargain to have sex. You shouldn't have to have those kinds of structures in place. But when the demons win, that's it. And obviously, you know, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if you're grabbing for power, then it shows that you've already reached that level of corruption anyway. So you just got to hope that some people realise it and turn from that. And free love, I don't know. Nothing's ever been free about love. Sex has always been a commodity to sell. And yeah, power structures are always going to be in place to make sure that that never changes. You can call it patriarchy, but the women work within it, pulling the strings. So the patriarchy is just the image that they want to push, the agenda that there's a patriarchy, but behind every great man is a woman. So that patriarchy is being consistently held up by the women that decide to push it up. So you can't blame just the men. You've got to blame the women as well. It's a toxic trauma bonding between each other. You can't just blame men for it being rape, because women rape too. Not that that's an argument, but it's the truth, you know. And you know, and you can blame women. You can blame women all you want. But you know, they decided to create a hive power structure around their sexuality, and to use a particular kind of army around their guarding of their sexuality and gatekeep it. And that's what they did. That's what women do. That's what they do. And men have always been forced into the position of either slave or hermit, I suppose. Stop! Okay, I'll see you later. Yeah. If you don't want to be on the outside of that power structure, you've got to play their game. You know, if you want the pussy, you've got to play their game. If they don't like you, then the patriarchy, the patriarchy, the ones that they complain about, are the ones that they're using to keep you out in the first place. It's a very, that's what women do. Women are more mental, intellectual than anything else. So that's it. I'll see you later.